Okay guys, welcome to the next lesson. So we're following the journey of this ball. It bounces, it swings around, and it falls. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to have it drop into a pool of water. So we're going to hit Command Y. We're going to choose a dark solid and press enter. We're going to make it 3D and we're going to bring it down. And we're going to hit Command Y to zoom out. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring this layer just above our shape layer. So right here, we're going to hit Command bracket and we're going to trim this layer. So we're going to take this camera on layer 13 and we're going to bring it down so we can actually see where this ball has fallen down into. We're going to take this layer, we're going to make it big, and we're going to have it fall into this pool of water. So right there, that's kind of the edge, and we see that happen. So to give this illusion that it's actually like falling, what we're going to do, it falls into the ball of water, becomes a white ellipse. So don't select any of these layers, only select the ellipse tool here, drag it, hit Command Shift, and make a circle here. Hit Command or hold Command and hit the pan behind tool to center this anchor point. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this layer, you're going to bring it up here. We're going to make it the same color by choosing this fill and this eyedropper. We're going to choose this color and we're going to make it the same color as our previous background. So we're going to hit Command bracket, make it to trim this layer, bring it down here, and we're going to make it 3D. So because it's 3D, we'll have to bring it all the way down again, because when you make something 3D, it goes back to its default position, 960 by 540. So here, this is where we want to have this fall into the pool of water. Now when something falls into water that fast, it initially has a lot of energy, so it's going to move fast. So we're going to hit P for the keyframe. We're going to hit P, keyframe the position, bring it in the beginning, and we're going to have it fall down just a bit, like right around there. Highlight both keyframes, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. Okay. Choose the graph editor. In the very beginning, it's super fast. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to have it fall right in there. So as you can see, it looks pretty decent, but doesn't quite sell the effect. So we're going to have the camera delay its movement just a bit, like that. So just adjust the camera, adjust the movement of this thing, and now you've got this motion. Like that. Right over here you could see that it hit the pool of water, and that's great. So now what we want to do is, because it's in this pool of water, we kind of want to make it wiggle a bit because it's floating. So we're going to hold Option, Command click, hold Option and click the position keyframe, and we're going to type wiggle and bracket 2,79. 2,79. There. So right now it's just going to fall in, and you'll see that it kind of disappears every now and then. That's because it's kind of going into that pool layer. So we're going to highlight both keyframes and bring it into a negative Z space so that it, it's just doing that. So hit U twice to reveal keyframes and expressions together. Now you'll see that it's kind of moving too much, so we'll make it 2,59. So now it's in there. And if you want, you can even make it 1, just so it's not moving too much and it's still kind of controllable. Now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to create this environment into which it falls into. So we can take this camera and we're going to bring it down just a bit. And we're actually going to bring this a little bit further down into the water. Okay. We're going to create a new environment here. So what do we need? We need to show that, okay, there's a pool of water and there's a bunch of balls that got stuck in here. So I'm going to take this layer, we can duplicate it, with Command D, hit U, get rid of all these keyframes, and hit V to bring your mouse back, and let's make one over here. Let's make this small. And I'm going to apply a fast blur onto this guy. I'm not going to do anything with that fast blur. Okay, I'm going to take this layer, duplicate it, bring it around here, Okay, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna put a fast blur on top. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit Command Option Shift Y. Command Option Shift Y, and that gives you a null object. It's basically an empty object. And I'm gonna trim it with Alt, square bracket, front and back. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into Effect, Expression Controls, Slider Control. This is gonna be my blur control. I'm gonna control the blurriness of all of these other balls inside the pool using only one blur control. So how am I going to do that? Interestingly, you can do that by making a bunch of these balls and controlling the blur on each one of these. Or I'm going to teach you this new way of doing it. Take this one layer, apply the fast blur on it, duplicate it, duplicate the layer, Command D, and let's bring it here. Let's duplicate this layer as well. Let's bring it over here. Bring this guy over here. Let's make this a little bit big. Let's bring this guy over here. Let's make it really, really small. Okay. And let's bring this guy over here. And let's, I don't know, let's just make this really, really big. Okay. So right now, all of these have a blur on them. So I'm going to take the fast blur of this guy and I'm going to option click on the blur radius. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this blur radius, I'm going to pick whip it onto the slider control right here. Okay. So what you'll notice is if you go into the slider control here, which is my blur control null, you can control the blurriness of that one layer just by this one null object. Cool. But you can't do it with all of these, right? So let's go back a few steps and see, okay, how can I do this? So I purposely made this mistake so to get you guys to thinking, oh, this is the way to do it efficiently. So let's click and remove all these layers. We already know that I've pick whipped the blur radius onto my blur control, slider control here. So let's take this. If you go into your blur control, you can control the blurriness of all of these objects just using one slider control. How cool is that? That is going to make your life really easy with clients and anything you're doing, anything you want to do really quickly and you want to control a property just using one layer. So now you've got all these. And another thing you can do is just to sell the effect is take this pool layer and put a mask on it by double clicking on the elliptical tool and just kind of make it a little bit, you know, shorter like that, but then extend it up. And what you'll notice is if I press M here, you can kind of right at the point of impact, like right there, what you can do is kind of pinch this pool down here. Just like that. And this kind of gives you that effect that, whoa, you know what? I just distended this environment a bit. You know what I mean? And then it just kind of, it has this property like water where it needs to recover back to its original shape because water always retains the shape of its container. And that's basically what I'm doing. I kind of went back and forth until it just became normal. And then you take these keyframes, ease them, and next thing you know, you kind of created this effect that it's fallen into the abyss of darkness. Pew. Now you're in this whole new world. Now what we're going to do is, this is the final part of this animation, and let's go into the next lesson, and we're going to wrap up this whole thing by pre-comping this entire part, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do.